Bailey Armour and Scott Shapiro here from First Bet with an exciting preview of this weekend's stakes races, covering the Belmont Stakes Festival out at Saratoga. We'll talk about the Acorn, we'll talk about the Belmont, our picks for each race, and then the promotions that you can expect to see from First Bet this weekend. Let's dive right in, Scott. Today, it's Friday morning as we record this. We've got a huge race for fillies this afternoon, the Grade 1 Acorn. That's race number 12 today at Saratoga at 6:40 p.m. I know who I like in this race, but I'm going to let you get it started today and tell me about the horses you like in the Acorn.
Yeah, the Acorn a little different this year, as a lot of the stakes races are being run at 1.125 at Saratoga instead of the one-turn variety at Belmont Park. And I'm looking forward to this. I know you are as well, seeing a couple of these come back for the first time, a number of them actually, since the Kentucky Oaks, where Torpedo Anna, who we didn't expect to see on the lead, was fresh that day, popped the gate, and Brian Hernandez Jr. gave what the filly he thought was the best horse the aggressive ride, and it ended up working out well. Now she's drawn towards the outside. There's other speed towards the inside. Assuming an average to, above average break, I still don't think Brian's going to try to go this time, particularly being on the outside. But I've got a real hard time playing against Torpedo Anna, Bailey. I like to take on favorites whenever I can, but this just appears to be a filly that, first off, has done very, very, very little wrong, has only lost once, and it was an impressive effort up the inside by Intricate in the Goldenrod. But third start off the layoff, has not moved forward too rapidly, so regression is not likely, in my opinion. 5 weeks off, I'm all in on Torpedo Anna. How about you?
I love it when we don't talk about our horses before this and then we end up on the same horses. It makes me feel like such a good handicapper. And for that
For
reason,
chalkers.
I know I am also on Torpedo Anna. Like, this is such a huge price play or anything. Now, of course, we got 5-1 on Oaks Day. We're definitely not going to get this price today. And like you said, playing against favorites, but I don't really think that this is a horse that you can play against. Now, if I had to, I would take that Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies champion, Just FYI, who's in the 4 post, which I think is a perfect position for her, being inside of Torpedo Anna. Her 2 races that she's done really well, she's been in the 5 and 6 post respectively. So I think having that just middle of the pack position on this afternoon will really lend well to her running style. She's super classy, and Justify is having an incredible run right now. Just had an Epsom Derby winner I think this past weekend. So like I said, that perfect post position draw, that would be the horse I would use to try to beat Torpedo Anna. But for me, it's all Torpedo Anna all day.
Yeah, Just FYI, who I was on as my top pick in the Kentucky Oaks, like others, was bet down to 7-2 favoritism. Thought she got a great ride by Junior Alvarado, and actually thought she was the winner when they turned for home. But Torpedo Anna just had far too much left. So I struggle with whether Just FYI has that move necessary to get the best of Torpedo Anna if they both get good trips again. But it is her third start off the break. And I'll just throw out one quickly before we move to the Belmont. I think Power Squeeze is a little interesting at a big price underneath in the exotics. Moves to an inside draw after a 4-wide voyage into that first turn in the Oaks, and was wide throughout. I thought battled well to finish 6, was beaten a ton by Torpedo Anna, Just FYI. But I think she's got some room to move forward with that inside trip going third off the layoff as well.
I'm definitely not mad about Power Squeeze at all. I think this year's group of fillies is one of the more talented ones that we've seen in recent years. So personally, I'm really looking forward to this edition of the Acorn, especially since we've got those Oaks fillies that are running back off of that layoff. So I will be tuning in, and I hope everyone else does too.
Definitely.
Now, turning our attention to Saturday, we've got a new look for the Belmont this year, cut back from 1.5 miles to 1.25 miles, that same classic distance that we've seen in the other classic races this year. Of course, run at Saratoga, so we won't have that massive Belmont closing stretch run. I went with my Oaks horse in the Acorn, and I'm going with my Derby horse in the Belmont, which is no shock to literally anyone that I've talked to about these races at all. I'm on the number 9, Sierra Leone, trainer Chad Brown, and a jockey change from Tyler Gaffleon to Flavian Pratt. Flavian Pratt is pretty underrated on these big race days. I mean, obviously he's an incredible jockey. It's not like no one is not betting him, but I feel like you don't hear his name thrown around just as much as some of the other riders here. And then in addition to the jockey change, he's got that equipment change from the regular bit to the cage bit or Houghton bit to help with that lugging out issue that we saw in the Derby. He's got that outside draw in the 9 post again, just like Torpedo Anna, like we talked about in the Acorn. I think the way that they have changed his management just a little bit with the jockey change, a little bit of a blinker switch I saw, and then that update to the new bit will hopefully solve those issues. And then in addition, they've been working him inside of other horses to kind of help with that outside wanting to drift out like it's IndyCar 500 or something. So I really can't wait to see how those changes match up in race number 12 at 6:41 tomorrow. Tell me what you think.
Well, first off, not a fan of Flavien Prat's my favorite jockey. I was there in 2016 in Santa Anita when he got there or come overseas. I've got a ton of respect for him, but I don't like taking another one of the top riders in the country off this horse. I know Tyler Gaffalione got a little crazy there in the lane, but I thought he was just kind of being an athlete, wanting to get his horse to the wire first more than anything. So not in love with the move, but it might help the horse. Was reading a little bit about the equipment changes, a little bit above my pay grade as a non-trainer, someone that hasn't been around the horses all that much, but I do know what Chad Brown is doing is kind of necessary. This has cost Sierra Leone 2 races, the Remsen as well to Dornock, who came back on the inside, as well as probably the Kentucky Derby. And it just takes away the efficiency of his closing late kick. We know he's consistent. I expect him to be there at the wire. I just don't trust him fully to win at a short price. But if you're keying a horse in the, vertical exotics, he's obviously the likeliest one to hit the board. I went with Resilience, though. I think, who definitely will be a far better price. Not sure if we'll get 10-1, but this is a son of Into Mischief that's been handled meticulously by Hall of Famer Belmont, slowly progressing as he moves forward in distances and with starts. And I think he ran a really good Kentucky Derby when he was given a good ride by Junior Alvarado, almost a similar style of ride as he gave Just FYI, able to avoid a real wide voyage into that first turn from a far outside draw. But he wasn't able to avoid the wide move into the far turn and into the lane. And I think that cost him several lengths. Might have been a little bit closer than the 7 3/4 lengths at the wire to the likes of Mystic Dan, Sierra Leone, and Forever Young. Now third start off the layoff, the 1.25 miles, I don't think is any issue for him. Belmont has a little bit more questions than I do, but he appears to be doing well and should get a good ground saving trip this time. Perfect kind of horse to use for that money back special, because it's okay to use favorites in those. You get insurance on a horse that you think is going to win and probably very likely to hit the board. But I'll take some insurance on Resilience. If I get beat by Sierra Leone or somebody else, I can still get my money back. But should hopefully get 6, 8-1 with Resilience.
I think you'll shake out with that price too. Now, you mentioned the money back special. Let's talk about these incredible promos from First Bet that we've got on Belmont Day at Saratoga. In the Belmont itself, you've got your cash back up to $10 if the horse you bet to win comes in second or third. Maybe you'll get your cash back on Resilience. Maybe you'll get your cash back on Sierra Leone. Whatever horse you choose, you'll get up to $10 when that horse comes in second or third. In addition to that, we've got a $2.5 million rewards point split when you hit the late pick 5 beginning in race 8 and ending in the Belmont Stakes. Race number 12. 2.5 million rewards points will definitely go a long way in the pro shop if you're the only one. If you're not, you'll still get plenty when that shakes out from the winners of the late pick 5. I know you've got your plays out on Express Bet and First Bet. I'll have to take a look at the ticket and see what we can do.
Yeah, the points will be great. And if you take down the 2.5 points, I'd have to think you take down a nice 5-figure score at the very least as well, with all the players that will be getting involved in that all stakes pick 5. But you mentioned it. We talked about the 2 big races, the Acorn, obviously not a part of that sequence, with the 2.5 million rewards points up for grabs. But I do have a late pick 5 article up on the First Bet and Express Bet blog, focusing on just that, the all stakes pick 5, starting in race 8 and ending with the Belmont.
All right, make sure you stay tuned to First Bet and Express Bet this weekend for all of our Belmont Stakes coverage, and check out the Belmont Stakes wager guide presented by First Bet, where you've got expert handicapping and analysis from our entire fleet of handicappers, including myself, including Scott. You can see our Belmont picks and more on First Bet and Express Bet.